Imagine waking up one morning to find that one of America's largest lakes has completely disappeared. Not in a century, not in 50 years, but within our lifetime. And with it comes toxic dust storms, collapsing ecosystems, and the slow death of an entire region. This isn't a distant sci-fi scenario. This is the very real future of the Great Salt Lake, unless something changes now. In January 2023, researchers from Brigham Young University issued one of the most alarming environmental warnings in modern U.S. history. If nothing changed soon, the Great Salt Lake could disappear within just 5 years. For decades, the lake has been in decline. In 1987, it covered more than 3,300 square miles, larger than Delaware. By early 2023, it had lost over 70% of that area, leaving behind a dry lakebed bigger than the island of Maui. A couple of unusually snowy winters offered a small recovery, but scientists agree. Without major action, the long-term trend is still downward. The lake may not vanish by 2028, but it remains at extreme risk of disappearing within our lifetimes. And if that happens, the consequences will be catastrophic, far beyond simply losing a lake on the map. To understand how we got here, we need to understand where this lake exists. The Great Salt Lake is the last remnant of Lake Bonneville, a massive Ice Age inland sea. As the climate warmed, most of it evaporated, leaving behind Utah Lake, Sevier Lake, and the Great Salt Lake, the largest of them. Today, the lake sits at the center of a huge desert region. And yet, right along its eastern shore lies the Wasatch Front, a narrow oasis home to 2.8 million people, more than 80% of the entire state of Utah. This entire population depends on a delicate water system. Winter snow in the Wasatch Mountains melts in spring, feeding 3 major rivers, the Bear, Weber, and Jordan, which all flow into the Great Salt Lake. For thousands of years, this was a stable cycle. But in the 20th century, everything changed. As Utah's population exploded, from 500,000 in 1950 to nearly 3 million today, the demand for water skyrocketed. Dams, pipelines, and canals siphoned more and more water from the rivers. At the same time, a warming climate pushed up evaporation rates. The result is a massive water deficit. The lake system could remain stable if humans used roughly 1.1 million acre-feet of water per year. But today, the basin consumes nearly double that amount. Cities use some of it, mostly for outdoor landscaping in a desert. Industries use more. But the biggest consumer by far is agriculture, which takes up about 74% of all water in the basin. And a huge portion of that goes toward one crop, alfalfa, grown largely to feed cattle. The lake is losing over 1.2 million acre-feet of water every year, and the gap keeps growing. Unless water use is cut dramatically, by more than half, the lake cannot survive. And if the Great Salt Lake collapses, the consequences will be severe. As water recedes, the lakebed, full of arsenic, lead, mercury, and other toxins, becomes exposed. Windstorms can then lift that toxic dust into the air and blow it across the Wasatch Front, home to nearly 3 million people. This would mean rising respiratory diseases, heart problems, cancers, collapsing property values, and an exodus of people leaving an increasingly unlivable region. We've already seen a smaller version of this disaster. When Los Angeles drained Owens Lake, the exposed lakebed became the largest source of dust pollution in the entire United States. And Owens Lake was only 1/15 the size of the Great Salt Lake, with almost no major population nearby. Utah's disaster would be far, far larger. The disappearance of the lake would also shorten the ski season by reducing snowpack, damage a $2 billion winter sports economy, threaten the 2034 Winter Olympics, collapse Utah's brine shrimp industry, disrupt the Pacific Flyway for millions of migratory birds, weaken agriculture long-term as toxic dust settles on farmland. This is not a distant threat. It's already happening. Saving the lake will require dramatic cuts to water use, especially in agriculture and suburban development. It will require political courage, public pressure, and a recognition that this is not just an environmental issue, but a fight for the future of Utah itself. The Great Salt Lake is more than a landmark. It is a lifeline. And unless bold action is taken soon, it may become the next great American environmental tragedy. You found this story important. Share it. More people need to understand what's unfolding in Utah. And if you want to dive deeper into the hidden stories shaping our world, make sure to subscribe, because we have a lot more coming. Thank you for watching.